Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Today I am guest designing for Scrapping for Less, showing off their May 2020 Flavor of the Month kit. This month the theme is Let's Encourage One Another, and this set is perfect for sending encouraging cards to your loved ones and friends. So let's take a look at one of the collections in this month's box. This is the Easy Peasy collection. You can see there's paper, an envelope, twine, embellishments, and a cute little stamp set. Also, each month they're going to give you a set of 4 card sketches. So I'm going to use a card sketch for each of the cards I'm sharing with you today. So I'm taking all the main images from this Easy Peasy stamp set, and I'm going to stamp it on a panel that's cut to the exact size shown in the card sketch. For this card, I chose the sketch that's in the upper left corner of that page I just shared. And then I moved the stamps around and stamped them again so I could have a complete panel. And now I'm going to do some Copic coloring. You can see the lid for each color that I'm using in the top of the screen. I'm coloring all the yellow on this panel with the same markers. And then I'm using a warm gray to give some accents and shading to the little flowers on this panel. And then I have one green marker that I thought would go well with the colors in this card, YG11. So I'm using that to add shading by coloring one part more than I colored the other parts of the leaf. And now I'm going to take my BG10 and go around all of these images, outlining them first, and then I'll go back over that and kind of make that outline spread out and get bigger. So I'm coloring over parts that I've already colored, but then there's going to be parts that only get colored over one time, and so those areas will remain lighter. All right, it's time to put this card together. So I've cut some of that patterned paper to fit the measurements of the card sketch, and I'm putting all that together. I am taking this super cute yellow and white twine and tying it around my stamped panel, which I mounted onto a piece of cardstock. In this kit comes some really great cardstock that is made or selected rather to coordinate with the papers in this kit. And now I'm stamping Squeeze the Day at the bottom. I find when I am going along with a sketch, oftentimes the stamp takes kind of a turn and goes its own direction because maybe the size of the sentiment didn't exactly fit the sketch. And so I love that about a sketch because it gives me a jumping off point and gets my mojo going. Now I wanted a little bit more bright yellow on this card, so I added some silk on there from Fun Stamper's Journey, and once that's dry you'll see how fabulous it looks on this card. I took the lemon slice and stamped that a few times on the inside with some fresh lemon ink from Alt New. And then I took some more of the paper because the papers in this Flavor of the Month box are so awesome. I haven't played with pattern paper in a long time, and I had so much fun with it. So there's the completed card, and we will move now on to the Weather Together collection. What is really cool about this collection is the stamp set was designed by Courtney Krieber. I know that she really encourages me, especially in coloring scenes and Copic coloring. I have learned a lot from her. So thank you for encouraging me, Courtney, if you're watching. And now I'm going to take the stencil that comes in the Flavor of the Month kit. Now, if you get the banana split version of this kit, you get these extra things like this stencil set. And I will use this stencil all the time. Look how cute it is with these raindrops. So then I can move that, line it up with the bottom row, and stencil the rest of the card. But you see how the bottom of this stencil is cut off? That's because you also get a cloud section of this stencil. Cool, right? So I'll be showing you that in the next card. And that finishes up the background for this card. And then I'm going to do some masking. Speaking of Courtney, she's like the queen of masking and scenes. The queen. I'm not kidding. So this is as close as I get to that. Like, I need to build up to her level because creating scenes is like not my forte. I'm sure if I gave it a try, I'd probably surprise myself, and I really should do that. Challenge myself to create a scene. But for now, I'm going to do masking. So the clouds are in front of my rainbow, and then I'm going to stamp my rainbow, and then I will also mask the rainbow. so I can stamp the little sun, and I'm using maple yellow ink from Altenew for that. And now I'll do some Copic coloring on my rainbow. You can see the caps in the screen so you know what colors I used. And I'm using 3 different shades on each of the bows of the rainbow. So I'm going to start with my medium color, and I'm going to take that 3/4 of the way, and then I will bring that together in the center with my lightest color for a highlight. And then I'm going to bring in my darkest color and add a shadow where that particular bow comes out of the cloud. So now I have my orange section, and for the lightest color, when I use orange, I really like to use my Y17. It's kind of a golden yellow color, but it goes really well for a highlight with orange. And now for the yellow section, again, starting with my medium tone, and then I'll bring in my Y02 to connect it in the middle, and Y08 for the shadow. Here's my favorite green collection is YG13, YG11, and for the darkest, YG17. It's so bright and cheery. I love that. All right, and then for my blues, I tried to go with like a turquoise, and I didn't have the best marker for my darkest color, which means I'm probably gonna have to do some Copic marker shopping. Darn it. Yeah, that bothers me. Oh, you can see here my rainbow didn't quite meet the cloud, so I just took a black fine tip pen and drew that in. And once I get to my darkest color, which Courtney would call the scary dark color, it covers up that little boo-boo. So fixed that. All right, I colored in the inside of the sun with Y06, and then I thought the clouds needed a little bit more blending out, so I brought in my B00 to soften the edges. This particular sketch has a half circle on it, and so I die cut that from the cardstock in the kit, and then this element was supposed to be on a square, so I stamped the sentiment, was going to mount it on coordinating cardstock there in the green, but it just didn't look right. So I cut out my rainbow, and then for the half circle, I embossed it with some clouds. I didn't pay attention to my embossing folder, so my clouds are going to be debossed, like pressed down into the paper, but it's fine. And then I'm splattering all of that with another color of silk, sparkle silk, to give more of that feel of rain and the, you know, the shining rain falling down. And then we'll adhere the circle to the card. I laid the rainbow there for placement of my sentiment, which, by the way, didn't stamp really well. I had to bring in a pen and kind of fix it. And I think even at this point, I might stamp it on a separate sheet of cardstock and go over the top of it. Because even after I did this little part with my pen to fix it, it's not awesome. I think because I stamped over that silk, there's some spots just didn't take to the paper. So maybe I'll fix it later. All right, so now I'm bringing in some glaze to go over my rainbow. Now, when I did this, I usually pay really close attention to filling in all the little gaps, but I didn't do so well this time. But it really, those little puck marks in the glaze really make it look like the rain's falling on it, so I ended up liking it. And now I'm adding some of that decorative paper because it didn't make the front of the card. So I put it on the inside and on the matching envelope because each of the collections come with an envelope. And there's an extra pack of embellishments when you get the banana split version of the kit. And mine had these sequins, and they are like in rainbow color. So I have an orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple sequin to finish up this card. And I think it turned out good, even with my few little boo-boos on that card. Yeah. All right, here is the Love Big collection. That Bigfoot stamp set. So cute. Plus, this paper has a ton of polka dots and stripes, and that is like my favorite kind of paper. So I'm going to use the sketch in the top right corner for this card. I'm going to stamp out the Bigfoot, and Benny the Bigfoot is his name, by the way. But I only end up using Benny the Bigfoot. So now I'm going to show you how I colored him with my Copic markers, and I wanted him to be more like a Bigfoot than like a Yeti. So I'm going to color him a little bit darker than if he was like in a snowy scene. And I think he's really versatile because you could use him for both things, right? All right, so I'm using E34 and E31 to color his body, and then I wanted his hands and feet to be a little bit darker than I colored his face. So I started with my E31 on his face and then brought in E40 to blend that softly into the middle. So for the darker hands and feet, I have E27 and E25. Once I colored this all out, I felt like, maybe the hands and feet are just a little too dark. So to fix that, I went over it with my E34, it lightened it up a little bit, and then I got my E25, so the lightest of my two dark browns, and added some of that to the Bigfoot. And that is going to help darken up the top part just a little bit as I blend it out with E34, and that'll help tie the two colors in together. And I thought, oh gosh, I've ruined it. I need to start over. But once I did this, I really like how it turned out. So don't give up. You don't have to trash it. It'll be fine. So there he is. I thought he needed a few little freckles, so I used E25 to dot those in. And then I colored the flower and the heart, and that finishes him up. And I really tried not to do fussy cutting for this video because there's no matching dies for these, but I couldn't help myself. I like my images cut out, so I fussy cut, and guess what? It wasn't horrible. I know. All right, so I have some die cut ovals here that have paper piercing in them, and I die cut one from patterned paper with this kit and one from white, and now I am using that cloud part of the stencil and Aqualicious, let me say that again, Aqualicious ink from Altenew. Right, you have to have that color just because of the name. It is Aqualicious. All right, now on this green oval, I wanted it to be grass. So I took my Lawn Fawn Grassy border and die cut the bottom of that oval. I'll put it onto this white stenciled oval, and then I'll tuck my Bigfoot into the grass. So cute. All right, here's the paper I chose for my card. By the way, that card base is Nina Classic Crust Solar White in 110 pound. And guess what? It came in the kit. Yeah. Fabulous, right? All right, so I'll add some of these cute flowers from this collection and a little cluster of 3 at the bottom there. And I think this card turned out better than I thought it was going to. I don't know about the sketch. Like, I really am not a big patterned paper person, but I ended up having so much fun playing with the patterned paper. Speaking of fun patterned paper, this little lady collection of paper ended up being my most favorite. There were so many fun patterns, I really couldn't choose. I used a ton of them on this card, which is a square card. See the sketch I'm going to use? I chose to do a 5.5 by 5.5 card, and then I cut some paper down to be a panel that would fit that with a little border all the way around, and followed the sketch for adding 2 more patterns of paper at the bottom. Look, I couldn't decide. I had to use all of those. They're so gorgeous. So I colored my Ladybug. Now, I didn't get the cap set up, but this is R39. Sorry about that. And I'm coloring this, so the darkest part of the Ladybug will be at the bottom, and then I'm bringing my medium tone up, and then the lightest will be across the back of this Ladybug. Like the light is shining down on the Ladybug. And I have to tell you, I had to be really careful with this image so that reds, aren't the reds just crazy? They want to go out of the lines. Like almost you have no control over it. It's their goal. But I got the Ladybug where I liked it, and I colored his spots with T10, and then I'm bringing in some more tonal gray markers in 1, 2, and 0. To add some shading to the little face. And then for this flower, I colored the center with, I believe, Y06. I missed it. And then a little shading on the petals as well. I'll fussy cut these too. And then I have some circles with stitching, and I'm going to do that same thing where I die cut the grass to put on top of the circle that I'm going to add some clouds to with that same Aqualicious ink because it's fabulous. And I think just these subtle clouds really add to this tiny little circle scene. It makes it. And then I'll tuck that into the grass, and it is so cute. This one grass was too big in front of the Ladybug's face, so I trimmed that off. We'll put that on the card with some foam squares, and then I'll add some of those leaves from the die cut pack that comes with it. My stamped flower, some embellishment, what are those called? Enamel dots. Yeah, remember enamel dots? Yeah. All right, and then this fun, it's almost like super thin yarn I added with a little glue dot. My sentiment says, "You are awesome." And this comes in 3 pieces, so you could stack that sentiment up or you could make it long. Isn't that cool? You could do it in different colors too. All right, another pattern of paper for the inside of the card and another of those die cuts to have a cute look on the inside. Aren't the eyes cute? So that finishes up my 4 cards featuring the Flavor of the Month card kit from Scrapping for Less. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. You can find out more about this kit, how to subscribe and get it every month, how to buy it a la carte on my blog. It's listed for you in the description box below, as well as the next blog on the hop that I'm participating in, so you can get more inspiration and more ideas with this kit. If you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe. I have new videos all the time, and I would love for us to be YouTube friends. All right, thanks for stopping by, and happy stamping. Bye.